the definition of the word Gentile does not match what the Bible actually defines it as. What we say today is that Gentile is non-Jew, and so that means that it's anyone except for the Israelites, and that is not what the Bible says. I don't know how I can say that, but if you look here, the definition of the word Gentile here in Genesis, and this is in Genesis 10 verse 2 through 5. It's just, and I'm not going to name all of these people, but it's the sons of Japheth, and it goes on to name Japheth's sons, and then Gomer, his one of Japheth's sons, and then Javan and these people. And then it says in verse 5, by these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families and their nations. So, and this has been kind of sitting on me for about 10 months now. This thing here that we say is, well, it's just, how is that? So, because if you look at the children of Ham, it does not call his people Gentiles. The Jebusite, the Amorite, the Girgasite, all of these people, these are Canaan's people. Then it talks about Cush, and then Nimrod, who was this would have been Ham's grandson, who did a few things, so these are not Gentiles. And then Shem's people, the Bible is kind of about Shem's people and their mixture with, being joined to the idols of the Hamites and all of this. But it doesn't say hardly anything else in the Bible about Gentiles, who are Japheth's people. You don't really hear anything else about them. If you look up some of their names, like Javan and these other people, and Tubal and Meshach, it might mention them later on, but it's not about them. The only time they're reintroduced is in the New Testament, when we start talking about the things that the Gentiles worry about. Don't worry about what you're going to eat, because God is going to clothe you. He's going to feed you. He says that I've never seen the righteous forsaken or their seed. So all of these things that we're beginning to act like them, and these messengers in the New Testament are having to tell us, don't worry about what these Gentiles worry about. Gentiles meaning Japheth's descendants. Now, the isles of the Gentiles are, I'm going to see if I can put a map on the screen here, but this is Romania, Bulgaria, Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia is included there, Italy, Spain, France, Germany, Denmark, up north, Norway and Sweden, then Finland, east of that, then the UK down here, then Ireland, then Scotland. These are isles, pure coastland, because the word Gentile in the Hebrew means coastlander. So it's talking about countries that are surrounded by coast. These are the isles of the Gentiles, divided in their nations, tongues and everything. So that's what this is. The Ukraine, and then you've got, Russia's over here. That's a huge expansive area or land, but it's mostly these people. Now, what we have to do is match their history, modern history, what we know now, and then also their character. So those three things need to come together, and that will give us the proper definition of the word Gentile. Now, where do we go from here? We need to look at where the ark was. If we look in Genesis 8 verse 4, it says, and the ark rested in the 7th month on the 17th day of the month upon the mountains of Ararat. Now that's really specific for God to even, all of this stuff that he's saying that we don't really pay attention to. These names, why is, this person's name mentioned, even though they were only one of these 12 or 13 children. We talk about these people. That's because God he wants you to trace back through history to figure out who's who. That's what he's trying to get you to do. I mean, the Bible is, and the Old Testament, we just kind of, those are stories. No, we're supposed to have a magnifying glass to this stuff so we can figure out what's really going on here. So we look at where Mount Ararat was. That was eastern Turkey of today. So the ark rested there, and Japheth's people went up a little bit, and then they went left, and they went through that passage there. That would have been, let me get back to it here. Yeah, that would have been through what's now Istanbul. They went through there, and then they went to Greece. See, these are where the Gentiles are. This is where Paul is doing his work. This is coastland, isles of the Gentiles. So when Gentiles who came to this country, who now refer to themselves as white people, when they tell you that everyone is a Gentile, that's because of two things. It's because they read and saw that that does not really apply to everyone else, and they don't want to shed light on that, because then that makes them, it opens up kind of a wormhole for us to investigate who they are and the fact that they shouldn't be here, they shouldn't be doing these things. So all of this stuff, it's like it adds credibility to our arguments. They don't like that. And they need to justify what they're doing. So part of that is saying that everyone is a Gentile, so that we're not isolated and we're not exposed. Because what Satan is wanting to do is hide the people that he's using and that he's been using. These people here, now it's not all of these Gentiles. Some of them mind their business, but the ones that are especially, who have done a lot of the colonization, this is Italy, this is Spain, Portugal, France. They colonized a lot of Hamites, bought a lot of land over here in the Americas and in these islands, and then left. So these, and I live in the Midwest, so there's a lot of Swedish and Norwegian people up here. So some of these people are good for just kind of staying put, but there's these groups here, and I believe personally that this is why God is trying to tell you certain people's names, because it does not mention every name of every son of Japheth. It only mentions a few. Those are this is God telling us this stuff. He knows everything, and if he says something, he's going to be able to say it in a way that has past, present, and future application. So what that means is that the names of these sons here are relevant today. Today is the 25th of June, 2026. Japheth's sons, who are Gentiles, who are European, are relevant right now. How is that? That's what we're supposed to be trying to figure out here. So we have a few different things that, that kind of oppose what we've said. So we originally said, and I'm going to just say this again, we originally said that everyone's a Gentile except for the Israelites, God's chosen people. And now somehow we have a group of people over in Israel now who are saying that they are God's people, but they have all the personality traits of Gentiles, because they worry about what they can receive from this earth, and they will do anything to get what they want. So what do we make of that? Because let me just say, we're reading from the same book here. This is the Bible. So we have character, and that's why I said earlier, just a second ago in this video, that we have to compare character with history. Okay, so because the thing is, and I'm writing in another book here, this is my second book that I'm doing, called You People. This is a message to the Gentiles, these Europeans, and I'm saying in there, you have to, if you want to, because they've done a lot of book burning. And they're kind of known for that, manipulating information and, controlling the narrative and all of this stuff. And I'm saying to them, if you're doing that, you also have to change your character. because that is what will tell on you. It doesn't matter what you say happened. You can say that, you brought us from Africa if you want to. You can say we all came from Africa and that none of us were over here. You can tell that lie. You can say that, everybody's a Gentile except for God's chosen people who are now over there in Israel. You can say that Leviticus has no relevance to today. You can say that, the fourth commandment has been done away with and we keep all the other 9 ones, when the Bible already says if you break one of them, you broke all of them. We can say that, so it doesn't matter what you say, because eventually somebody's going to do the investigative work and figure out that your character does not match what you're saying. And that's what we're doing here right now. We're seeing that, okay, because that's why I would even be spurred to have this conversation or to investigate any of this or re-examine. It's because their character has a stench. And they have their hands on the Bible, and their character does not match. This country does not match what they say are its values, which are supposedly aligning with the Bible. So that character is going to tell on them. Now we're talking about this, and a lot of things that people have already been suspicious of are being confirmed and further in this video. So if anything, I just would encourage everyone to just investigate this. We're supposed to be students of the Bible, and we can make mistakes sometimes, but I'm feeling a way about this. You know what I mean? Just because the Bible does not seem to match what tradition says is the truth. Tradition says that we're all Gentiles, and I'm not a Gentile. That's Europeans. They're Gentiles, the sons of Japheth. Names all of their sons, and then it says they were divided in their lands, the coastlanders of Europe. And then it makes all the more sense when we go to the New Testament and we see that these are what they concern themselves with. And all we have to do from that is just take those that criteria and match it with this nation. This is exactly what this nation is concerned with. All the things that the Gentiles worry about and how they do all of this stuff, and they're backbiters and all of these other different things that Paul is going on about. That's what's happening in this country, in the United States. So it's a thing of character. So it doesn't matter what you say that's going to try to get rid of, the truth. Your character cannot change. And the only way you can change that is if you submit to God, because he's the only one who can really make a lasting change in your character. Anything you do is going to fail because you're doing it in the wrong spirit. So these people have tried to pretend to change in the wrong spirit, but who they really are is starting to come out. That's why this country is ripping at the seams. And we're following that rip all the way down to the pages of the Bible. And we see, they lied about some things. So, and I guess my parting word here is, I don't know what you expected from the truth, from this investigation that we're all doing as Americans and trying to figure different things out and trying to figure out who we are, where we come from, what the problem is, why are we headed in this direction. We're all trying to get there. But what did we expect? Did we expect for this to be easy? Did we expect for this not to rip a hole in what we think is reality? That's inevitable. That's going to happen. And there's going to be things that we thought for years were right. Like this thing right here, that we're all Gentiles. That's just wrong. That's not right. And now our lives are divided into two because that lie has been repeated for so long. But that's what happens when you have to dismantle something and introduce the truth. Now a serious change has to be made. And I will never look at life the same. I almost want to say, we just have to learn to get over that. That's what happens. And if we're just in Genesis, we're in chapter 10. There's stuff in chapter 1 that we put tradition over what's actually said here. So who really do we want to serve here? Do we want to find out all the truth, or we want to just keep some things because some of this stuff is going to make us too uncomfortable? I don't know. Food for thought.